If your mama showed up at your door with broken ribs for the third time, and the police said they can't do nothing, and she won't press charges because she's too scared to press charges, what do? Because I know what I did, and my mama never forgave me for it. My name is Curtis Wayne Jackson. I'm 70 years old. Been in here 23 years come November. The state of Alabama calls it second-degree murder. They got a file somewhere with my name on it that says I'm a killer. I call it stopping the man who was killing my mama slow. 20 years of slow. And nobody, not the police, not the courts, not the church, not the neighbors who heard her scream through the walls. Nobody stopped him. So her son stopped him. I used to drive trucks, long haul, Montgomery to Memphis, Montgomery to Atlanta, sometimes all the way up to Nashville. 18 wheels and a CB radio in the road. I loved that life. I was good at it too. Ain't missed a delivery in 14 years. Now I sit in a room that's 8 feet by 10 and I count the cracks in the ceiling. There's 47. I counted. My mama's name was Loretta Mae Jackson. Before she married Roy, she was the prettiest woman on Dexter Avenue. I ain't saying that because she was my mama. I'm saying it because it's true. She had this laugh, this big open laugh that made everybody in the room feel like things was gonna be all right. Roy Dean Hubbard, that was his name. She married him when I was 9. I remember the wedding, little church on Perry Street. Mama wore a white dress with yellow flowers on it. She was happy that day. I remember thinking, good, Mama's happy. The first time he hit her, I was 10. I was laying in bed, heard something break in the kitchen. Then I heard her crying. That quiet kind of crying where you're trying not to make noise because making noise makes it worse. I know that sound. I knew it before I even understood what it meant, and that was the beginning. 20 years. From 1978 to 1998. 20 years of broken plates, broken bones, broken promises. It won't happen again, baby. It always happened again. I grew up watching my mama lie. She'd come to school with sunglasses in November. I fell, she'd say. Teachers didn't ask. Neighbors didn't ask. Pastor didn't ask. I asked. Every time. And every time she'd say, Curtis, baby, it ain't none of your business. Roy's my husband. He just gets upset sometimes. You know what that does to a boy? Watching your mama get hurt and being told it ain't your business. It's like living in a house where the roof leaks and everybody pretends it ain't raining. You can see the water coming through the ceiling and everybody's sitting there eating supper like the ceiling's dry. After a while, you start thinking maybe you're the crazy one. When I turned 18, I left, went to truck driving school in Birmingham, got my CDL, got my own rig by 24. I thought if I got far enough away, it would stop bothering me. Didn't work like that. Every time I called home, I could hear it in her voice. How you doing, Mama? I'm fine, baby. Just fine. But the way she said fine, it was the same way she said it when I was 10. Same voice, same lie. I went to the police 3 times. 3 times. First time I was 26. Drove all the way from Nashville to Montgomery on my day off. Walked into the station on South Court Street and said, my stepfather is beating my mother, has been for years. The officer looked at me and said, has she filed a complaint? I said, no, sir, she won't. She's scared. He said, without a complaint from the victim, there ain't nothing we can do. I went home and begged Mama, got down on my knees in her kitchen and begged her, please, Mama, file the report. I'll be right here. He won't touch you. She looked at me with that face she'd been wearing for 17 years, and she said, Curtis, Roy loves me. He just don't know how to show it right. Second time I went to the police, I was 32, same station, different officer, same answer. Without a complaint from the victim, our hands are tied. I brought pictures. I had pictures of the bruises on her arms from Christmas. I took them when she wasn't looking. The officer looked at the pictures, and he said, I'll never forget this. He said, these could be from anything. She could have fallen. My mama had 2 black eyes and finger marks on her neck, and this man told me she could have fallen. Third time wasn't me. It was the hospital. 2001. Roy broke her arm so bad the bone came through the skin. ER doctor filed a mandatory report. Department of Human Resources opened an investigation. I thought, this is it. Finally, somebody with authority is going to do something. Investigation lasted 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Mama told the social worker she fell off a step stool reaching for preserves in the pantry. Roy sat right there in the living room the whole time the social worker was talking to her. Right there. And nobody thought to interview her alone. Case closed. Insufficient evidence of abuse. 3 doors. 3 times I knocked. 3 times they was shut in my face. And Roy kept on doing what Roy did best. I remember the exact day I stopped believing somebody else was going to fix this. Because the day your mama calls you from a hospital bed for the 3rd time and says, "Baby, I fell," and you can hear Roy in the background telling the nurse she's clumsy, that's the day the right thing stops looking like the right thing. September 14th, 2003. I remember the date because it was a Sunday. Mama always went to church on Sundays. I was in Knoxville loading a shipment of auto parts. My phone rang at 6 in the morning. It was my sister Diane. She said, "Curtis, Mama's in the hospital again." I said, "How bad?" She said, 3 broken ribs. One of them punctured something. They're doing surgery. 3 broken ribs. Punctured lung. She was 53 years old. I drove. 7 hours straight. Didn't stop for gas. Didn't stop for food. Didn't stop for nothing. I pulled that rig into the hospital parking lot in Montgomery at 1 in the afternoon, and I walked into that room and I saw my mama. Tubes in her nose. Machines beeping. Her face was swollen on the left side. Purple. Green around the edges where it was starting to heal from the last time. She was asleep. Or knocked out from the pain medicine. I couldn't tell. I sat down in that plastic chair and I held her hand. And I looked at her fingernails. She always kept them nice. Always painted. Even when things was bad. She kept her nails done. And 2 of them was broken off. Ripped clean off. Like she'd been grabbing at something. Or somebody. And I sat there for 3 hours. Didn't say a word. They just held her hand and listened to that machine beep. And somewhere in those 3 hours, I decided, I ain't proud of what I'm about to tell you. I want you to know that. I ain't proud, but I ain't sorry neither. And there's a space between those 2 things that's real hard to explain to somebody who ain't been in it. I drove to Mama's house. It was night by then, maybe 10:30. Roy's truck was in the driveway, lights on in the kitchen. I sat in my truck for, 20 minutes. Maybe longer. I thought about my daughter Keisha. She was 15. I thought about my boy Marcus. He was 12. I thought about what was going to happen to them if I went inside that house and did what I was fixing to do. And then I thought about my mama's broken fingernails, and the tubes in her nose, and the sound Diane made on the phone when she said, "Punctured." I got out of the truck. Roy was in the garage, working on something. I could hear his radio playing. Hank Williams, I think. Or maybe it was Merle. I don't remember the song. I remember the smell. Motor oil and cigarettes. That was Roy's smell my whole life. Motor oil and Marlboro Reds. He looked up and he said, "What you doing here, Curtis?" I said, "You broke her ribs, Roy." He said, "That woman's got a mouth on her. She needs to learn." He didn't finish the sentence. I hit him. I hit him with my fists. These fists. Same hands that gripped a steering wheel 14 hours a day. I don't remember how many times. The police report said I hit him 9 times. I don't remember 9. I remember the first one. And I remember the last one. Everything in between it's like watching yourself from across the room. Like you're standing in the corner and there's this other man doing what you told yourself you'd never do. Roy died in the garage, on the floor next to his workbench. Hank Williams still playing on the radio. I sat down on the floor next to him, and I waited. I didn't run, I didn't call nobody. I sat on that concrete floor and I waited for the police to come. Took them 40 minutes. I reckon the neighbors finally called when the noise stopped. Funny thing about that, nobody called when the noise was Mama screaming. For 20 years nobody called, but when the noise was Roy, 40 minutes. You know what's funny? Ain't funny. But you know what's something? The system that couldn't protect my mama for 20 years had me arrested, charged, and convicted in 6 months. 6 months. They couldn't find one officer to help Loretta Jackson, but they found a whole courtroom to bury her son. The trial lasted 4 days. 4 days to decide the rest of my life. My lawyer said, "Curtis, your mother will testify on your behalf. She'll tell the jury what Roy did to her. The jury will understand." Mama took the stand on day 3, and she testified against me. Against me. She sat up there in that witness box, same woman with the broken ribs, same woman with the punctured lung, same woman I drove 7 hours to sit beside in a hospital room. And she told the jury that Roy was a good man, that Roy loved her, that Roy never meant to hurt nobody. She said I had no right to come into her home and do what I did. Her home. She called it her home, like I was the intruder, like I was the one who didn't belong. You can't prepare for something like that. You can prepare for prison, you can prepare for the sentence, but you can't prepare for your own mama looking at a jury and saying, "My son killed the man I loved, the man I loved. 20 years he beat her, 20 years of black eyes and broken bones and lies in the emergency room. And she loved him. She loved the man who broke her ribs, and she hated the man who stopped him." I lost my mama that day, not when Roy hit her, not when I hit Roy. I lost her in that courtroom, when she chose his memory over my life. Keisha, my daughter, she was 15 when I came in here. She's 38 now. She calls sometimes. Writes. She understands, I think. Or she tries to. But she was a teenager who lost her daddy, and teenagers don't care about the reason. They care about the empty chair at the table. Marcus, my boy, he was 12. He ain't cold toward me. He ain't angry. He's just distant. Like there's a wall between us that neither one of us built, but neither one of us knows how to take down. He sends a card at Christmas, sometimes. My mama died in 2019. Diane called me. She said, "Curtis, Mama passed last night, in her sleep." I said, "Did she ask about me?" Diane was quiet for a long time. She said, "No, baby, she didn't. 16 years I was in here. 16 years. And she never came. Not one time, not one letter, not one phone call. I wrote her every month for the first 5 years, 60 letters. She never wrote back. I saved her life. And she died not speaking to me. You try carrying that. You try waking up every morning in a cell knowing that the person you sacrificed everything for, your freedom, your kids, your whole life, that person died thinking you was the villain, not Roy, not the man who broke her bones for 20 years. You. People ask me, guards, chaplain, guys in here, they ask me, "Curtis, if you could go back, would you do it different?" I think about that question every day. I've had 395 days to think about it, and the answer is hard, because the answer ain't clean. If I could go back, I'd try one more time to get Mama to leave him. I'd beg one more time. I'd call every shelter in Alabama. I'd drive her to Diane's house in the middle of the night if I had to. But if all those doors closed again, and they would have, because they always did, and I'm standing in that garage with Roy telling me she needs to learn, I'd do it again, even knowing she'd hate me for it. Even knowing she'd testify against me, even knowing she'd die without saying my name, I'd do it again, because some things you don't do for gratitude. You do them because they need doing, and if the person you save hates you for saving them, well, that's a different kind of prison, and I'm in both. What would you have done? And I don't mean the easy version. I don't mean what would you say sitting on your couch watching this video. I mean, what would you do if it was your mama and she was begging you to leave it alone and the man who hurt her was standing 10 feet away? Be honest with yourself, because I was honest with myself in that garage. And honesty cost me everything. I got 2 years left. 2 years and I walk out of here. I'll be 72. I'm fixing to drive past Mama's house when I get out. Not to stop, just to drive past, see if the roof still leaks. It's a funny thing. I spent my whole life trying to fix that house, fix the leaks, fix the broken things, fix what Roy broke. Turns out some houses don't want to be fixed, and the person who keeps trying, they just get wet. I just miss my mama. That's all. I just miss my mama.